today is what day? Tuesday. So Adarinda we have to do Sugama. Oh, after a long time doing Sugama. Okay. So the Purva Pakshi told something regarding Adhyasa and the Siddhanti was answering. So in mutual Adhyasa between Atma and Anatma, the Purva Pakshi said that if both of them are superimposed on each other, Atma and Anatma. So since what is Adhyasta, what is wrongly perceived, is perceived wrongly, therefore it doesn't exist. Since it doesn't exist outside Adhyasa, it would come to mean that neither there would be Atma nor there would be Anatma in reality. And also Purva Pakshi told few more things to this. Just a minute, I am adjusting. Okay. I think it is better. So to the Siddhanti was answering, no. Atma by its very nature is Asanga. This particular portion which we have started and also discussing is in fact bodily lifted from Upadesha Sahasri. As you know, Satchidanandendra Swamiji follows verbatim Shankaracharyas. Is an amazing thing. In spite of this, how people are unnecessarily opposing him for every idea, he just follows Shankaracharya. You can never find word by word, even a single word doesn't exist in Swamiji's outside Bhashya. So beautifully he follows, thoroughly he follows Shankara. So this portion which we have started in the previous class and continuing, this whole portion is bodily found in Upadesha Sahasri. While I do my Parayana, now and then all these portions, I surprisingly found that all this portion is exactly found in Upadesha Sahasri. Very interesting. But anyway, so we are continuing. Atma that is superimposed upon the Anatma. So two things are there. Atma in its real nature, being Asanga, is independently existing. Atma is independently existing. It cannot be imposed on anything else. Therefore, what is imposed is a false Atma, is a reflection of the Atma. A false Atma, a reflection of Atma, a semblance of Atma that is superimposed upon the Anatma. So let the Atma that is superimposed on the Atma be unreal. Doesn't matter. Let that superimposed Atma, which is only a Pratibimba, which is only a Abhasa Atma. It is not a real Atma. He says, Abhasa Atma be unreal. Doesn't matter. But the real Atma, which cannot be superimposed, which is not available for any superimposition, is ever pure, ever anadhyasta, that remains ever pure. Okay. Now regarding the body which is Anatma, body, mind, sense organs and the rest of the world. The entire world doesn't exist except as Adhyasta. The entire world along with the body has no existence of its own. In short, Anatma has no existence of its own. It appears to exist during Adhyasa. It appears only during Adhyasa. Outside Adhyasa, it has no existence. During Adhyasa, it appears to exist. In either way, it has no existence. Okay. Anatma doesn't exist outside Adhyasa and it appears to exist during Adhyasa. That means it only appears, is a wrong perception. Therefore, even during adhyasa, it doesn't exist. But whereas Atma, it exists independent of adhyasa, even during adhyasa, the real Atma being asanga. Atma being asanga. Asanga means it doesn't lend itself to be superimposed in either way. Neither it allows anatma to be superimposed on itself, nor it gets superimposed upon the anatma. No kind of adhyasa is possible in the atma because it doesn't allow, because its very nature is such that no adhyasa is possible. In its real nature, no adhyasa is ever possible. Therefore, Atma remains ever pure, ever anadhyasta. Even during adhyasa, Atma remains ever untouched. Even during adhyasa, it's like even during when you are looking at mirror, even when you see that your face is reflected in the mirror, even when your face is reflected in the mirror, even at that time, mirror remains untouched by any reflection. Mirror remains untouched by any reflection. Okay. Mirror remains ever pure. While reflecting or not reflecting, mirror being by its very nature transparent, it doesn't get affected by any reflection. Similarly, Atma is totally asanga by its nature, in its real nature. Then what is that Atma which is superimposed upon the body, upon the anatma, because of which you have, because of this superimposition, you have an experience that I am the body. There is an experience in every one of us that I am the body. So here you can see Atma is identified with the body is identified with Atma. Then which Atma is that which you find in your identification with the body? That is a abhasa. Atma abhasa. Atmani adhyastha dehad anyasya dehasya anirupanat yad dehasya atmanya sattve pratyaksha virodaha. Okay. Next point. This also we discussed just to remind you what we were discussing, because a few days, I think 2 weeks passed. So, yachochate dehasya atmani asatya pratyaksha virodaha. If you say that body is not there in the Atma, is it not pratyaksha virodha? Pratyaksha virodha means, isn't it against perception that if there is no body? You say there is no body, but it is against experience to say that there is no body. Don't we experience? Don't we see that there is body? Everybody experiences there is a body. Tadapyasatu. He says, body upon the Atma. Body upon the Atma. See, Purvapakshi told, body upon the Atma is a matter of perception. No. Siddhanti says that is wrong. Because to be able to perceive body upon the Atma, you should be able to perceive the Atma. See, in order to say that book is on the table, you should be able to see the table. If you see the table, you can say that the book is on the table. If you cannot perceive the table, you can only perceive the book, and you can't say the book is, whether the book is on the table or somewhere else. Therefore, unless you are able to perceive the Atma, you can't say body is upon the Atma. To be able to say that body is upon the Atma, Atma should be perceptible. But Atma itself is not a pratyaksha vishaya. Atmanaha pratyakshena agrahanat. Atma itself is not available for perception. When Atma is not a matter of perception, Atma is not a matter of, Atma is a matter of, I change the sentence. Atma is a matter of neither sense perception nor mental perception, nor yogic perception. Atma is a matter of neither sense perception, nor mind perception, nor yogic perception. No kind of perception can objectify the Atma. Atma is self-shining, self-existent. Not only that, it forms the basis for the mind, whether it is yogic mind or an ordinary mind. It forms the reality. The basis of yogic mind, basis means the reality. Reality, the real truth behind the yogic mind, ordinary mind, and sense organs, and also the entire world. Itself is a self-existing, it is self-shining. It cannot be, need not be perceived by mind, senses, or anything else. Okay, therefore, nahi pratyakshena atma tad adhikaranakatvena deho va drishtaha. Nobody ever perceives Atma, nor the body depending upon the Atma or perceived upon the Atma, nor the Atma being perceived as the body. See, neither we perceive the Atma, nor Atma is perceived as appearing as the body. Therefore, neither Atma nor the Atma perceived as the body, neither of them are matter of perception. That means it is only an adhyasa. That you have a body is a purely misunderstanding. It is not a real perception. It is a false thought. There is a false thinking that I am the body. This thought itself is not a reality about the Atman. Because the nature of the Atman is one, that it is a non-dual and pure existence and consciousness, and that Atma appearing as an individual and is associated with the body, both these are only misconceptions, is a mithya pratyaya. Mithya pratyaya, a misconception alone. By misconception? What is misconception? A conception without really being there. You conceive something when the thing itself is not such. If a thing is not such, yet you have an idea of it, it is definitely a wrong conception. A misconception means you have a concept which doesn't exist, which exists as differently, but you conceive as this. In fact, it exists. Atma is self-existent and you conceive it as a perceptible. Atma is imperceptible, you conceive as a perceptible. Atma is self-existent, self-shining, you perceive as an object of shining. See, it's a totally different from its nature. Your very perceiving the Atma, the so-called perceiving, is a misconception. The very perception of Atma is a wrong conception. Because Atma is not available, Atma is not in that way. Atma is not available for that conception and you conceive. See, it is a strange thing. What can, take a worldly example, what cannot be visually perceived? What cannot be seen through your eyes, if you start seeing, what do you call it? What cannot be seen through your eyes and yet you see, that means you are under illusion. What cannot be heard, that means the person didn't speak. Sometimes it happens that, why sometimes? Many times you feel this. You are sitting here and you feel that the person has called you. You go there, Swamiji, tell me Swamiji insists. I say, why are you asking that? Swamiji, you called me. No, I didn't call you. Oh, but no, Swamiji, you called me, I heard it. I say, you heard it, but I didn't call. It's a very strange thing. You heard as if I have called you, but I have never called you. I never spoke, I remained silent. I remain silent. That fellow hears that I called him something. You really hear with your eyes. You really hear with your ears, which I never spoke. How can you hear that? But we happen to hear. That is purely an illusion, isn't it? Similarly, what doesn't exist, what doesn't have a color, you start perceiving. What doesn't speak, what is silent, you heard speaking. What doesn't have a touch, you feel that you are touching it. So, These are all sense perceptions, are only bhrantis, are illusions only. Similarly, water doesn't exist. You perceive that there is water. Water doesn't exist. Yet you perceive that there is water. What do you call it? It's a mirage. It's a mirage, no water. But you perceive it to be a water. You again and again you see that yes, there is a water. How does it come? It doesn't come. It only a false perception. Similarly, a false perception is a perception. It is only a perception without the thing being there. Okay. Therefore, Atma cannot be perceived, but it is self-evident. Anatma is perceived through a concept, and it is only a conception without being there. Atma is not there, but you have only a conception of Atma. Body is not there, you have only a conception of the body. That's all. It's a very strange. Like in dream. Dream, you have only a thought of the body. You have thought, you had a notion that you are an individual. That you are an individual undergoing dream experience. You had a simple notion that I am an individual, that I am a human being, that I am a karta bhokta experiencing this world, and I am here. I am undergoing all these experiences. I am doing, I am perceiving, and I am undergoing experiences. But once you wake up, you understand you were not an individual. That individuality is only a thought without being there. Without being an individual, you just thought. The thought has no reality. Okay, as you wake up, you understand the whole, your dream individuality and the dream world and dream experience. All that was completely, even during the dream experience, it didn't exist. Even during that experience, it didn't exist. That means without really being there, you just felt that it is there. It's only a feeling without really being. A being is different from feeling. Okay? And you are the being, the same being Atma. Atma being, the conscious being, existential being throughout. Okay. Now the Purvapaksha says, Yat punaruchyate vamshastambadivan nitya sanyukta udehatmano bhavishyataha iti. Up to this, we came in the previous class. Now that new class begins. New means something. The new lesson begins. Purvapakshi earlier told that Atma, there is no adhyasa between Atma and Anatma. Both of them are really existing. Really we perceive them. And yet they are related to each other like Vamsha and Stamba. A pillar and it's a crossbeam. Okay? He says pillar and crossbeam relationship between Atma and Anatma. Tad atidaviyaha. Therefore, Dehatmanav Vamshastambavat. Vamsha can mean those who know Sanskrit little, and those who understand, okay. Those who do not understand are yet learning Sanskrit. To such people I say, Vamsha means a flute. Vamshidhara. See, Vamshi means a flute. Vamsha means a bamboo. A bamboo stick or a bamboo rod. Stick only. A bamboo stick is called Vamsha. But Vamsha can also mean a pillar. This is an additional meaning to the Vamsha. Vamsha can mean dynasty. Okay? The lineage. In Kannada, Vamsha heltivalla. Manushara Vamsha. Vamsha can mean Vamsha, that is dynasty or lineage. Vamsha can mean bamboo stick. Vamsha can mean pillar. This is for those who want to learn Sanskrit. Ye Samskrita vidyartinaha tesham krite. Ye Samskritagnaha tebhyo nochyate. So Samskrita vidyartinam krite kinchit Samskritepi vaktavyam. Astu nama. Okay, Vamsha means that. Will not go much into it, but people will be unhappy if I speak more in Sanskrit. Indians are very peculiar people. They'll just tell you. I'm telling this out of my experience. I met number of people like this. Even if they don't know English, don't understand English, yet they love to listen to English talks. Even if they don't understand, when I asked them, when you don't understand, why do you want to listen? No, I'm trying to learn, Swamiji. Aha. Even if they don't understand, they understand one or two words here and there, still they try to listen. But similarly, why don't you listen to Sanskrit? In fact, many words you already understand, and you will pick up also on the way. Oh, Sanskrit, I can't understand, Swamiji. Please, Swamiji, I can't understand. Please, Swamiji, I can't understand. He wants to excuse himself even to listen, from even listening. He wants to excuse himself even from listening. Oh, is the talk going to be in Sanskrit? Oh, Swamiji, I can't understand. I shall go away, Swamiji. I shall go. I say, you sit and listen. No, I can't understand, Swami. What about English? No. Do you understand English? No. I understand little bit, Swamiji. I try my best to understand. What a fellow. This fellow behaves like a person born in England and coming here. Okay? Looks like a British man, he talks. This is the peculiar mindset of our fellows. Sanskrit, which contains many of the words from your mother tongue, and it is easily understandable. Even without knowing Sanskrit, you can understand. Okay? Yet these people not even want to listen. But whereas English, without understanding also, they love to listen. Okay, we leave it. We leave it to these people. Let us hope that they will change their minds one day and they'll become real thinkers. Okay. So, yat punaruchyate vamshastambadibannitya sanyuktau dehatmanau bhavishyatah iti. So, the vamsha and stamba, the pillar and crossbeam, like this Atma, tadati daviyaha. Siddhanta replies, this example which you are giving, the illustration which you are giving is far-fetched illustration. Ati daviyaha means it is far-fetched. It is just doesn't suit. It doesn't go with the reality. Atma, Anatma are not related to each other like those in your illustration. Like a pillar and a crossbeam are two really existing and two really connected. No. He says, Katham vamshanam stambhanam cha adhara adheya bhavena sanyogaha drishtaha. Now, here he uses a little technical way of. Sanyoga is between two real entities, a relation is called sanyoga, that is joining or conjunction. Sanyoga is joining. Contact. Sanyoga is a contact. Contact is a type of relationship between two really existing things, like you can say pen and the hand. Pen and the this is Vamsha, you can say. This is a bamboo pen. Okay, you must have seen, is a bamboo pen. A pen made of bamboo. Anyway, leave it. So pen and the hand. You just touch it, it's simple contact. This is called Sanyoga. Contact between two things, like two things come together, when they contact, it is called Sanyoga. So he says, Vamshanam stambhanam cha adhara adheya bhavena sanyogaha. Vamsha pillar. Stamba is pillar. Vamsha is crossbeam. Okay. Oh, Vamsha stambhanam. Sorry. Did I say Vamsha is a pillar? Yeah. Vamsha is earlier I told pillar. Now I say Vamsha is a crossbeam. Okay, take it as a crossbeam now. Stamba is pillar. Vamsha is crossbeam. Pillar and crossbeam, like this. Okay. So, sanyogo drishtaha. There is a sanyoga, simple touching. Okay. Contact. Adhara adheya bhavena. One is a supporter, another is supported. Vamsha, the crossbeam, is supported and pillar is supporter. Tena cha gruham ityeka pratyaya vishayatvam tayo. When they come in contact, they constitute a house. A pillar and the crossbeam together are called a house. Okay, house or some pandal or some such thing. Iti punarna dehatmanoh pruthak siddhihi tena cha gruhamityeka pratyaya vishayatvam tayoh iha punaha. There in the example, in the illustration, that is okay. But here, no such thing exists. Iha punaha na dehatmanoh pruthak siddhihi sanyoga vishesho va drishto asti. Here, that here such a sanyoga is not possible because body and the body and the Atma, they don't exist as a two separately, because nobody has seen body existing separate from the Atma. Have you ever seen body existing separate from the Atma and yet coming in contact with the body, coming in contact with the Atma? Body, neither it exists separately from the Atma and then it comes in contact with it. Such a thing we don't see. Here he says, न इह पुनः न देहात्मनोः पृथक् सिद्धिः संयोग विशेषो वा दृष्टोऽस्ति. Neither they existed separately nor they come in contact and then you. So this is not a this nobody has experienced in life. येन अहम प्रमाता इत्यादि व्यवहारोपि संयोग प्रयुक्तो व्याख्यातेत. अहम प्रमाता, I am an individual, I am a jiva, I am a karta, I am a bhokta. This kartrutva, bhoktrutva, pramatrutva that we are experiencing cannot be explained as due to the contact between Atma and the body. That, see, we have an experience that I am pramata, I am karta, I am a bhokta. In these things, there is an identification with the body. Chaitanya Atma identify with the body. So this experience that I am the body, I am sitting, I am walking, I am thinking, I am an individual, this experience of Jiva Bhava, this experience of individuality cannot be explained as the contact between two real entities. One is Atma, another is the body, and they come in contact with each other. Therefore, this kind of experience is born out of their contact. You can't explain this Jiva Bhava as a result of contact between two real entities called Atma and Atma. It cannot be explained that way because yena aham pramata. Why? Because if body was really existing independent of Atma and then they would come together in contact with each other, then your explanation would have been right. Body doesn't exist. Nobody has seen body. Before contact, do you see the body? Before you see the adhyasa, before you see that I am an individual, I am jiva, I am karta, I am bhokta, before you have this jiva bhava, that I am so and so, before the I notion, do you experience body? Before the I notion, independent of I notion, you don't see the body at all. Okay? Independent of I notion, independent of adhyasa, you don't see the body. And the contact of the body with the Atma is nothing but adhyasa alone. It is only identification is a thought. Identification is a notion. So in the notion alone you see the body and also body being connected to the Atma. Body, experience of the body and it is being connected to Atma, both are notions only. Both put together is a one notion alone. Outside the notion, neither the body nor its contact with the Atma. See, body and body's contact with Atma, both are only notion. Both are only notion of I am the body. Within that notion of Jiva Bhava, within the notion of I am the body, you find these. Otherwise, there is nothing. Okay? I think nobody wants the class today. I don't know. Only 3 people are watching. Anyway, since I started, we'll continue 5 minutes and close it. तेन च गृहम् इत्येक प्रत्यय विषयत्वन्तयो इह पुनः न देहात्मनोः पृथक् सिद्धिः संयोग विशेषो वा दृष्टोऽस्ति येन अहं प्रमाता इत्यादि व्यवहारोपि संयोग प्रयुक्तो व्याख्यायेत. I'm forgetting. Is it today? Sugama day? No. It is 11th. 11th is Buddha. Correct. 11th is Buddhavara. So I am correct. So iha punaha. Okay. Apicha samana jatiyanam sparshadi matancha vamshastambadinam sanyogo drishtaha. So things of similar nature. Samana jati means similar jati. Things of similar nature alone can be brought together in contact. Samana jatiyanam another thing is, if both of them have got a sparsha, like Akasha and pen, Akasha and hand, can it be touched? Can you bring them in contact? Akasha doesn't have a form, it can't be touched. Hand can be touched because it has got a surface, it has got a form. Form means it has got a surface. Hand has got a surface, Akasha doesn't have a surface. Now, can you bring them together in contact? You can't, because space cannot be touched by your hand. Try to shake hand with the space, which is impossible. Try to shake hand with your time. God of time, we call them. In India, we have got everything is God anyway. God of time. Now, God of time, can we come in contact with him? Can we shake hand? Not possible. Therefore, apicha samana jatiyanam spar. Samana jati means what? They exist at the same level. Here the Atma is a self-existent, Anatma is only a perceived false conception. It doesn't have the existence similar to Atma. Atma has a real and independent existence. Body doesn't have it. Therefore, it is not a samana jati. Whereas a pillar and a cross beam of samana jati, because both of them are logs of wood, and they can be brought together. They can be brought together in contact. But here, Atma, Anatma are not samana jati, and both of them do not have. Atma doesn't have any surface. Okay, Atma is like a space. How can you bring them in contact with? Vamshastambadinam sanyogo drishtaha. Iha punardehatmanav na samana jati yav. Deha, Atma are not of samana jati, means they don't exist of the same level, same species. Atma, why? Atma is a niravayava like space. Sparshadi rahitascha vaishamyam. Atma is a niravayava. Atma is partless and it cannot be touched. Whereas the body has parts and it can be touched. How can you bring them together? Therefore, the illustration is dissimilar. It is not a similar illustration. It doesn't go with the nature of Atma. Okay, abhyupagatecha sanyoge dehatmanor vamshastambadivat parartyam anityatvam cha prasajjeta. ಈಗ next argument. Okay, suppose, let us assume. It is just an assumption. First thing is, it is impossible. Coming in contact with each other by the Atma and the body is impossible, that we have seen. Yet assuming that abhyupagate, assuming that there is a sanyoga. Abhyupagate means if you assume that there is such a sanyoga, abhyupagatecha sanyoge, there will be a problem. What is the problem? Dehatmanor vamshas parartyam anityantacha prasajjeta. Deha and Atma become parartya. Parartya means dependent on others. Parartyam is dependent on others. And also anityatvam, non-eternal. See, pillar can stand only when there is a cross beam, otherwise pillar will fall down. Or let us say, cross beam can stand there only when there is a supporting pillar behind. When there is a stamba below, the cross beam can stand there, otherwise it will fall down. Here, they are dependent. If Atma, Anatma is mutually superimposed, then like the stamba and vamsha, like the pillar and the cross beam, then what happens? They would become pararthya, dependent on others. They would become a dependence, and also anitya, because they are temporary. Therefore, tacha anishtam sarveshamapi atmavadinam, all those who are the Atmavadis. Atmavadi means who understand, who accept Atma to be real. They cannot accept it because it goes against their essential Siddhanta. Their basic Siddhanta alone goes wrong. Therefore, it cannot be accepted. Tasmat drishtanta darshantikayor vaishamyat na dehatmano sanyogo bhavitum arhati. Therefore, there is a dissimilarity between drishtanta and darshtanta. Drishtanta is illustration. Darshtanta illustrated. What is illustrated? Something for which an illustration is given. Okay, so there the illustration and something for which this illustration is brought, both of them are not similar. Atma Anatma is one way, and the Vamsha and Stamba, pillar and cross beam, is in another way. So therefore, they don't go together. They are not similar. They are not similar. Therefore, it can't be accepted. Okay. The next, Purvapakshi told there is a sambandha, there is a contact. So there are two kinds of relationships accepted by our Indian philosophers. Like Vaisheshikas, Naiyayikas have logicians, we call them. By Naiyayikas have explained them, but even other people also, in a way, they accept it. So there are two kinds of relationships, two kinds of contacts we find in the world. Okay, one is the commonly known contact is the contact itself, sanyoga. Another is a relation between a matter and its quality, dravya, substance and quality, dravya and guna. One is two dravyas coming, two substances just come in contact. That is sanyoga in Sanskrit. Samavaya is a substance and its quality. Substance and quality coming together. They don't come together. In fact, quality always exists and substance, independent of substance, it can't exist. Okay? Therefore, now nacha samavaya sambhavati, he says, the second sambandha called samavaya also not possible between Atma and Anatma. Even the samavaya sambandha is not possible. Because dehatmanor gunagunitva karya karanatvadyanabyupagamat. Because between Atma and Anatma, guna is the quality, guni is a substance which owns the quality, which contains the quality. Okay, guna and guni, Atma and body cannot be related as guna and guni. Body is not the quality of the Atma, nor Atma is the quality of the body. See, if Atma is taken as a substance and body as a quality, can we say that? Body is the quality and Atma is the substance? No. Nor is the body substance and Atma is its quality. This is what the Nastikas, atheists say. Body is the real entity, and the consciousness is a quality of the body. I think probably modern science also says the same thing. Consciousness is produced from your brain. Body is the real entity and consciousness is a product of the brain. Or some people say consciousness is the Atma and body is a quality of the consciousness. Neither of them. Because Vaisheshikadi paribhasha matra siddhatvacha samavayasya. This samavaya is a peculiar, a special relationship accepted by Vaisheshikas. Vaisheshika is one of the schools of philosophy. They have imagined, they have speculated this kind of relationship between flower and its color. Okay? Pen and its color. Pen and its shape. Let us take pen and its length. Pen and its shape. How do you relate? He says pen is one and its shape is another. They come in contact with each other, and this contact is an inseparable contact. Inseparable relationship. Swamiji says, according to Bhashyakara, this is ridiculous because You cannot talk of these two as being related. They are not two. Pen and its shape, are they two? There is no pen without a shape and there is no shape without pen. Both are same. Both are same is only you are talking differently, that's all. Therefore, Vaisheshikadi Paribhasha Matram, it is only a verbal expression. There is no such a contact at all. There is no such thing called Sanyoga, because any relationship requires two independent things. When the thing itself doesn't exist as an independent, how can you talk of as a relationship? Pen and its shape, pen and its form. He says form is related to pen, then other than form, what is pen there? See, so there are no two things getting connected. Therefore, Vaisheshikadi Paribhasha Matra Siddhatvacha Samavayasya. Samavaya is only their own peculiar concept which is not accepted by all other schools. Tasman Nakopyasti Vastavika Sambandha. Therefore, there is no real relationship between Atma and the Deha. Okay. Nacha sambandham vina deha vyaparena vyaparavan bhavit varhati atma. If there is no sambandha, how can Atma be active with the action of the body? How can Atma be taken as active on account of the activity of the body? On account of the action on the part of the body, does Atma become active? Does Atma become active on account of the activity on the part of the body? Because if the body is related to Atma like the pen and its shape, flower and its shape, such a sambandha is not there. Therefore, yat punaruktam sharirādhishtātrutvenaiva dehādi vyāpārayitritvam sambhavati. That is over. The next argument. The next argument, Purvapakshi told that Sharira Adhishtatratvenaiva. Sharira is a Dehadi Vyaparayitritvam Sambhavati. Yat Punaruktam Sharira Adhishtatratvenaiva. Tadapyetena Pratyuktam Bhavati. Dehas Vyapara based upon the body. He says Atma is using the body like that. Just as body uses an instrument, he says Adhishtatritvasya Adhyapya Siddhatvat. Body used by the Atma. Atma using the body, that itself cannot be proven. Because from the standpoint of Atma, there is no body except a misunderstanding. Okay, therefore, nahi shariradhishtatritvopapadakaha kopi vastavika sambandho adhyatmi saditaha, that the body is adhishtatritvam, means dependent upon the Atma, connected to Atma itself is not proven. It's not proven. Therefore, Vastavika Sambandha cannot be proven. Therefore, it can't be accepted. Katakartru nidarshanam tu vaishamyadeva upeksham. Now he says, Katakarta. Kata is means a mat maker. A maker, any maker, you can say any carpenter or any maker. He gives an example of a Katakarta. A maker who makes a mat. With the help of the leaves, he takes the leaves, uses some instrument and joins the various leaves, twines them and makes it into a mat. Therefore, Katakartru Nidarshanam, the illustration of the maker of a mat is dissimilar. It doesn't go with the Atma. Because, why? See the contrast. Katakarta is different and Atma using the body is different. It doesn't go that way. Katakarta hi swayam vyaparavan viranadikam vyaparayati. Katakarta himself is I forgot all these things. So many days have passed. Katakarta, the maker of a mat, uses an instrument like a knife and etc. or a needle etc. Needle etc. He uses them to join the leaf and another leaf with another leaf. Therefore, Katakartru Nidarshanam tu Vaishamyadeva Upeksham Katakarta hi Swayam Vyaparavan. Katakarta himself is an active person. Active means he is a doer of karma. He himself undergoes change. Therefore, Viranadikam Vyaparayati. Katakarta himself is a body. The maker of a mat himself is a person. He himself moves. He himself is moving. He is using an instrument, and therefore, both of them, he himself moves and using the instrument and carrying out the work is okay because it is understandable. Iha punaha Atma, whereas for Atma to use the body, the using the body itself is an action. Okay? How can the Atma use the body? For Atma to be able to use the body, Atma himself should be an active person. Active means there should be a movement on the part of the Atma. Like a mat maker himself has a body, body can be moved. Body means it has got a shape, it has got parts, and therefore it can act within space and time. But Atma neither has a form, nor can it move within time and space. It doesn't have a form, nor it has got a movement called action. Action means movement. Atma has neither a form, okay, nor the movement, because Atma doesn't exist in space and time. Atma, no form and no movement. If Atma had form and movement, like a mat maker, it could use the body. Otherwise, how could it use the body? A formless space, can it use the body? Can it hold the body? It can't be. Therefore, Yapunaratma Swayam Vyapara Abhavavan Asangascha. Atma has no movement, no form, and also Asanga. Asanga means cannot be associated with anything else. Atma cannot be associated with anything else. It can't be associated. Therefore, so you can't give an example of a mat maker, because mat maker is a body. He has got a form. The form is capable of moving, means it is active. In English, one word you can say it is an active. Active means capable of functioning, capable of acting, capable of functioning. Therefore, he has got hands and legs and which move. He can hold an instrument and use it in order to stitch a mat. Okay, but here Atma doesn't have a form. Okay, Atma doesn't have movement, and from the standpoint of Atma there is no other thing. Asanga means nothing other than the Atma. Nothing other than the Atma. Therefore, it can't be no contact and nothing other than Atma. It is Asanga. Therefore, how can Atma use the body? Because the very nature of Atma is such that it can't, like a space. Can the space use an object? You give a pen to your space, to the Akasha. You give your pen to the Akasha. Will it hold your pen? Or you shake hand? It can't. That means Atma cannot use, Akasha cannot hold anything. Similarly, Atma cannot use anything, but Akasha is a partial example. Okay, it doesn't suit completely. Nacha Shankitavyam Atma Pyatmiyaihi Smriti Chaprayatnaihi Karma Petubhihi Swayam Vyaparavaneveti Teshamapi Adhyasa Purvakatvat. Now he is touching in another argument. I think it's a slightly different argument. This needs more explanation. We shall discuss in the next class, and after this, then we can proceed. I think just a few minutes we have to discuss in the next class, then we'll proceed with the next topic. Okay? Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha हरि ओम.